So UFC 306, the Sphere is finally here. UFC Noche, Independence Day for Mexico, whatever the fuck you want to call this card. Nonetheless, it is finally here. So these are my predictions for the card. We're going to start off with the main event, which is Sean O'Malley versus Merab. This is obviously the most logical fight that makes the most sense for the bantamweight division. Merab is on a crazy win streak at the minute and is so deserving of the title shot. Both guys in their last 5 fights, Merab has won all 5 with some really impressive wins on that resume. Sean O'Malley has won 4, 1 no contest. That was that fight against Pedro Munoz. Would be handy if I could speak. This is a really interesting fight because Merab was the favourite when this fight got announced. Now the tides have turned and Sean O'Malley is the favourite, which it always surprised me that Merab was the favourite going into this fight. I just don't know why people were so confident in Merab. But anyway, if you look at Merab's last 5 fights, he beat Henry Cejudo at UFC 298. That was the Topuria Volkanovski card. He beat Henry Cejudo he beat him fairly easy, let's be honest. I think it was the first round though. He got cracked with a left hook and was wobbled by Henry Cejudo. And you do see this at times in Merab fights where he is so hectic, just going forward, constant pressure, shooting for takedowns, etc., throwing a lot of shots that his defense always isn't there, and he ends up getting caught. Now, his recovery is great, and we've seen that. After that, Henry Cejudo just got demolished in that fight. Then you had Petr Yan. Merab absolutely dog-walked Petr Yan in that fight. Like, he smoked him. It wasn't even competitive. The Jose Aldo one, again, Merab, just typical performance against the cage. Just doing what he does to win. Aldo has really good takedown defense, though, in that fight. And then you have the Marlon Moraes one. That was the fight where he nearly got finished. Marlon Moraes nearly had him out of there. Which is crazy to say now when you look at where Marlon Moraes is. I think that guy's retired and he's a police officer now. And Merab is going to on the fight for the belt. Nonetheless, though, he did get the finish over Marlon Moraes in that fight, if I remember correctly. Yeah, he did. He got it done in the second round. Moving on over to Sean O'Malley. His last fight was against Marlon Chito Vera, the rematch. He absolutely schooled Chito Vera. Like, it wasn't even close. Sean O'Malley just styled on the guy. Just showed that he's such an elite level striker. Obviously, Chito Vera and Merab are like 2 completely different styles, but Sean O'Malley was in there with Marlon Vera, who's very tough. Had some massive shots from Sean O'Malley. The shots that Marlon Chito Vera was taking off Sean O'Malley, Merab won't be able to take, in my opinion anyway. Plus, we were able to see in this fight that Sean O'Malley does have the gas tank to go 5 rounds. Now, is that a 5-rounder at Merab's pace? No, but he still went 5 rounds with Chito Vera and won that fight comfortably. Before that, he's got the KO win over the greatest UFC bantamweight of all time in Aljamain Sterling. The UFC set Sterling up for this fight. I don't want to hear it. But yeah, again, Aljamain Sterling is kind of really the only elite level grappler that we've ever seen Sean O'Malley in there with. And Aljamain Sterling wasn't able to mix in the grappling. Sean O'Malley is just so good with his distance, his range, his timing. And as you see in the Aljamain Sterling fight, the step back, right straight, and that was it. Dropped Aljamain Sterling, finishing it with ground and pound. Merab has kind of said that fight was called off, stopped too early. I don't think it was. I'm an Aljo fan, but Aljo took a lot of damage in there afterwards. Then before that, you have the very controversial win over Petr Yan. Now, this is an interesting one. Again, Petr Yan is a much better striker than what Merab is. Obviously, if you're comparing their 2 wins, Merab beat Petr Yan way more convincingly than what Sean O'Malley did. A lot of people don't even think O'Malley won that fight. It was a great fight though. But in that matchup, Petr Yan was able to take Sean O'Malley down at points. When he was able to get Sean O'Malley backed up against the cage, I remember in particular, I can't remember the round, but he shot in, got the double leg, and was able to pick him up and dump Sean O'Malley. Now, Yan didn't really have that much success on the mat with Sean O'Malley, and Merab isn't particularly great at controlling his opponents on the mat. And another thing to factor in when we're talking about the O'Malley being taken down by Petr Yan and stuff like that, a lot of it was trips at points in that fight. Merab doesn't use a lot of them. Also, a lot of it was set up with punches, which Yan is just a better striker than Merab. I don't think Merab will have really any success on the feet against Sean O'Malley. Especially when you look at some of his stats right here. His significant strike accuracy is 61%. That is crazy. As you can see as well, if you're looking at stats, the significant strikes landed per minute is just way, like, there's just such a difference between him and Merab. Sean O'Malley's is sitting at 7.63. Merab is sitting at 4.50. And his striking accuracy is 41%. So in terms of the striking, there is a big difference. Sean O'Malley is quite clearly the better striker. O'Malley, in my opinion, right now is probably the best, if not the second best striker currently in the UFC. In terms of takedown accuracy, that doesn't really matter for Sean O'Malley. He won't be shooting takedowns. His takedown defense is 62%, but like I said, he hasn't really been in there with a high-level grappler outside of Aljamain Sterling, who really didn't get to get anything off. Now, Merab's takedown accuracy is shit, and this is something that people aren't really understanding when they're talking about Merab being this grappler that Sean O'Malley's going in there to face. Merab's whole thing is just to drown you. Is to shoot so many takedowns that you're constantly, right, I've stuffed this, back to your feet, down, up, down, up, down, up. It's just constant. He's not looking to hold you and control you like a Habib or an Islam or something like that. He is looking to drown you in there. That is Merab's style. He isn't going to be looking in there to dive for the crotch and just sniff you there and hold you there like a Muhammad Makayev style. It's not going to happen. This fight will be very interesting. Sean O'Malley's demeanour, I feel like, for this whole week in the build-up, I don't know, I feel like the guy's just trying too hard. I hate the fact he constantly compares himself to Conor McGregor. Just create your own lane. You're not McGregor. You're not going to be McGregor's level. Create your own lane. I think that's what they should do. Merab obviously has staph infection. We've seen that in photos. Maybe it's away now, but he did have staph. Obviously that cut as well. For me, I'm taking Sean O'Malley to KO Merab in the first round. Yeah, that's my prediction. I think Sean O'Malley is going to catch Merab on the way in the first round with a step back uppercut. He's going to drop Merab in there and he's going to finish the job in the first round. That's just my opinion. Next up, co-main event. Let's just fly through these. Alexia Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko. This is the trilogy. Valentina Shevchenko arguably should have won their rematch, but got robbed. Shock horror. Alexia Grasso is going to get the job done here. She's just younger. I just feel like Valentina Shevchenko is just past that peak now in her career. She is kind of going downwards. Obviously, that's kind of contradicting the last point when I thought she won the rematch. But it's been some time after that. And I feel like Alexia Grasso, this is the big moment for her. 306 in the Sphere, Mexican Independence Day. If this fight is even remotely close again, Alexia Grasso is getting her hand raised. I'm picking Grasso by decision. Next up, Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez. Obviously, the fight we were meant to get at UFC 303 never happened. Now, Diego Lopez looked great early on against Danny Gay, but gassed in there, like we've seen. Now, I don't think you can look too much into this because there were so many opponent changes. Then there were so many weight changes for Diego Lopez as well that obviously fucked him up in that fight. Brian Ortega looks fat in the recent photos that I've seen of him for this fight. I'm taking Diego Lopez to finish Brian Ortega in the first round. Next up, Daniel Zellhuber versus Sebastian Ribovic. I'm going Daniel Zellhuber. I think this guy's a dynamic striker. Again, a big moment for him being on the main card. I feel like he's going to get this job done. He has good distance management as well. He's a great striker. I think he gets this done by either late third round stoppage or decision. Ronaldo Rodriguez, O'Day Osborne. This is the thing that saved the press conference. Ronaldo Rodriguez is getting the job done in this matchup right here. Crazy that this is on the main card of a once-in-a-lifetime card. Irene Aldana is going to beat Norman Dumont, in my opinion. Computer froze, but we're back with 306 predictions. Manuel Torres versus Bahamontes. This is a close one. I'm going to go for Bahamontes. Yeah, he got the blessing from Bully B on the Joe Rogan podcast. That's enough for me. Yasmin Uregwi's going to win this one right here. I don't know who this woman is she's fighting. I can't I'm just going to be honest. I don't know. Next up, Edgar Chairez versus Joshua Van. You know what? Joshua Van's an underdog here. I'm going to pick him to win this one. And finally, the only fight on the early prelims is Raul Rosas Jr. This is a layup for him. He's getting the job done. He is getting the finish to kick off UFC 306 within 2 rounds. Raul Rosas Jr. by sub, second round. Those are my 306 predictions. Let me know yours in the comments below. And as always, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And I'll see you again in the next one.